So hello everyone. From time immemorial, branding has been the important aspect. इंडिया को पहले सोने की चिड़िया कहते थे और अभी भी like whether you see Israel, whether you see USA, branding and positioning play an important role. So today we have Dr. Sunny Arora sir. Welcome sir. So Dr. Sunny Arora is an associate professor of marketing with a Ph.D. from IIT Bombay. He has done his MBA grad way back in 2007 at NMIMS with over 16 years of experience, including 11 in academia. He specializes in pricing strategies, brand naming, and behavioral psychology. He is currently teaching at SPJIMR and guest faculty at IIM Visakhapatnam and multiple colleges. His research has been published in leading journals and presented at major conferences. An active member of the American Marketing Association and the Association of Consumer Research, Dr. Arora also delivers management development programs for corporate organizations, bridging academic insights with practical business strategies. So, welcome once again, sir. So, the viewer wants to know, like, you have very profile from the corporate to this academia. So how you went to the academic field and also?
First of all, thank you, Vijay, for this generous introduction and giving me the opportunity to interact with your audiences. So I started my career after my MBA. I got into banking. I started my career with Kotak Mahindra Bank, and there I did my MBA from NMIMS Mumbai, and it was in the area of marketing. And I used to love sales, so I took a sales job at Kotak Mahindra Bank, and I used to work with the retail liabilities division in branch banking. So that is how I started my career. And you see, when you work, you realize that there are ways in which the corporate work. And because I was fresh out of my MBA, I had many ideas, and I used to think to myself, there are different ways in which probably the way corporate operates, it could possibly change. So that was a genesis. That was a thought when I had developed an interest for doing research, and then I took this opportunity of taking a job in academics, and I started teaching immediately after my job at Kotak Mahindra Bank. So as you saw and mentioned it from my profile, I've been teaching for about 15 years now. So I've taught at across P schools, and recently currently I am at SPJIMR. So in addition to teaching, which I love to do, as I said, I wanted to figure out how to create new knowledge in the field of sales and marketing. And that was the motivation while I was doing my job at Kotak Mahindra Bank, and that's primarily how I spend most of my time today. Over time, I have developed interest in newer topics like pricing. So pricing is also incidentally my course which I teach, and I teach at IIM Visakhapatnam, and it also occupies most of my time imagining how can companies, let's say, price it better for better realization, as well as how we can do it in ways that it benefits the society. Given the differences of incomes and wealth in our society, how should it be priced that nobody feels as if things are not achievable by anybody. So that's my motivation every day. When I get up, I look at and think about ways in which I can make things better for businesses.
Sir, we have discussed that your research area has been pricing, brand naming, and behavioral psychology. So, with respect to brand naming, so brand and all that, when initially we were looking for the advertisement that were not emotionally connected, but when today's advertisement is emotionally connected, whatever advertisement you see, either Zomato or something like that. So, is there change in the trend of advertisement and branding of the company and all that they want to cater? Would you like to specify or give some idea about that?
I'm sure you would have done some research, which is why this question But since the time from the 80s and 90s, you would see it has always been a mix of advertisements which are referring to, let's say, communicating the product features sometimes, and connecting with the customers, or let's say with their heart at the time, which is what we call as emotional ads. So that has always been there, be it, let's say, your Maggie ad, or let's say where they were connecting with the mothers and the kids, at some level emotionally, or let's say your Airtel ads in the 90s, where it was again emotional, or your Hutch and the Vodafone ads. And today, again, you see the same trend continues. So it has always been there. It's just that, it, I think, is a function of the product life cycle. When it's a new product, then mostly the connection is regarding features because that's what you wish to communicate. But when, let's say, the market enters into its maturity stage, and the competition based on communication based on product features becomes little difficult, then companies engage into emotional connections, which is possibly what you see with the Swiggies of the world today.
And so, with respect to pricing, you can see since there are so many startups coming like Zepto and all that 10-minute deliveries app, and there's a price war in between. And so, do you think like today's in this competitive world, since you are given lectures on advanced pricing and also, so this bubble is going to burst in the next couple of years and all that because there is so many competitive pricing and consumer has lot of option. So I think the retailers are at stake right now.
Interesting. So again, let me talk from a theoretical lens, right? So again, there is you would see, if you look at the history of different businesses, this is a trend you would always observe. For example, in 1990s, late 90s or early 2000s, you should have seen a similar trend in telecom. You would see many entrants coming into the market, and then there would be competition based on price. Eventually, as you said, the bubble is going to burst. Eventually, the consolidation will happen. So it's like the different phases in which the market operates in its maturity. So it moves from consolidation to fragmentation to consolidation alternatively, right? So right now you see what you possibly see right now is fragmentation happening. So the market is breaking. They are all trying to capture customers in this market, and they're trying to woo the customers based on price right now.
Yes.
Eventually, when you would see that market shares would start settling, companies would start consolidating. Some of them will move out of the market, will be thrown out of the market. Some of them will merge together, and eventually two or three or four will stay with their market share stabilized. So that's usual, that's general. This happens almost all the times, whether you look at airline industry, you look at telecom industry, and it's quick commerce market right now.
So means like after a couple of years we can see that consolidation may happen and all.
Very soon,
Very
not
soon.
couple of years, because see, I personally believe last 10 years it has been a lot of many businesses have had funding available relatively easily, which is why so many companies could enter in, new companies got created and they could enter into the market, right? Now when the funding becomes relatively difficult, you would see right now most of these companies are acquired by bigger players.
Yes,
That's
sir.
already happening. Now when the bigger players start using their muscles to grow their market share, then the smaller and the weaker players will start uh, being released out of the market. So that's how the consolidation process always happens. So that's going to happen sooner than later, I believe.
Okay. So you have been teaching at SPJIMR. You have taught us also at IIM Visakhapatnam and multiple institute. So just I will compare SPJIMR and IIM Visakhapatnam. So what one thing which IIM Visakhapatnam should learn from that SPJIMR college and what the other way around, if there it is.
It's a difficult question, but I would never want to compare students. I think students are students. Students are always nice, beautiful,
Just administrator or campus
amazing.
point of view also.
So
Because
one
beginning of
can
the
only say that, every organization has a different culture, right? So, and there are some aspects of culture that differentiate one organization from another, right? So, and organizations also derive their culture from the place where they are. So, SPJIMR is in Mumbai, so it has Mumbai uh, culture, culture inherited from how Mumbai is very fast paced. People running around. We would always see people running around, right? Now, whether it be students or the faculty or the guests, that it's like the hustle bustle of Mumbai you could see in SPJMR also. IIM Visakhapatnam has, I think, the elements of Visakhapatnam. And I was talking to a group of students downstairs. Visakhapatnam, my visits for teaching this course, I have seen that is very hospitable, amazingly hospitable, and that element is visible at IIM Visakhapatnam as well. So it feels very warm when one is here. The warmth is just indescribable in words. So you feel very comfortable coming here. You feel very nice coming here. You feel welcomed coming here. You know. So that's just one element, a beautiful element of IIM Visakhapatnam. So, and like I said, they different places, different cultures. However, the students are the same, which is fun, and I love interacting with students at both the places.
Yes, sir, that point I got to know. So, one of the last question from the placement department, in the sense, like, few students want to go for branding, but what happens is they go to the marketing company and all. So how they can switch their role from marketing to branding, as their the main intention was to go for the branding role and also. So is there any link between these two?
So I can tell you how I have observed the roles available post an MBA in the last 20 years. So 20 years back, it used to be more like, there were sales roles, and then there were a very few marketing and branding roles, which were related to communication generally in the market. So most students would take up the sales roles, and some of them will continue with sales for their lives in different organizations and sectors, and it could be B2C or B2B. And some students will make a switch to branding and marketing and build their careers at brand managers and marketing managers, right? But fortunately now, in today's time, one has to think a little beyond this because the opportunities are immense. Marketing is not simple sales and branding now. Marketing is also digital now. So your generation knows much better than I do the potential of digital marketing, right? Then marketing analytics, while it was there 20 years back, but there weren't many takers. But today it's like the field which is the most lucrative area, one of the most lucrative areas in marketing. So one can consider a marketing analytics role. Then one can look at, for example, at each pricing. So I know there are companies which have positions like a pricing manager. So there are specialized positions now, which 20 years back wasn't even there. So if you specialize in a subject and you become social media manager, you become pricing manager, there are opportunities now. And because it's specialized, the growth path is very different from a salesperson's role, right? However, the sales opportunities would still be the highest and would always be the case, right? Anybody who has a flair for sales can still take it up and would enjoy that. But others who like analytics more, who like statistics more, right, who like social media, digital more, can take up so many opportunities now, right? So it's not limited anymore, and one should not, even as a student, just limit one's thought to uh, the the let's say knowledge transfer from the past of only two possibilities in life. It's not. And that's what one should actually look at, let's 10 years ahead. one should always look at jobs from a perspective of how the businesses are shaping up 10 years from now, because you're starting your careers, you have a work life of 30, 40 years. So while it is wise to look at what has happened in the past, but relying completely on that is not the best way to move forward. So look ahead, look at what are the opportunities which are going to come up in the next 30, 40 years, right? And in those 30, 40 years, try and see what are your interests. If you love analytics and you see this is growing, then, instead of changing jobs multiple times, have a strategy in place and don't look at, let's say, only the salary at the beginning. Look at what the organization's culture is. Look at what are the opportunities you have in that specific area, like analytics, social media, digital, right? And then also look at compensation. So look at more holistically rather than with a very limited understanding of what has been done in the past.
That's a great insight, sir. So one last question, like many of the students who has appeared for the CAT 2024 have asked, like what are the key skills like the top institute like IIMs and SPJIMR and all those colleges look for. So what are the key skills which you, as an interviewer or being the faculty, you think it is required? And second thing, what are the gap you find in the current students right now, which is not reflecting the industry trend? That two questions, sir.
I've been interviewing students for 16, 17 years now. And I've interviewed students across institutes, and I've might have interviewed hundreds and thousands of them. And I've never made notes on this, but I can tell you from my experience, when we score the performance, there are few things that excite us, and there are few things that are good to have. Those are like hygiene, right? So students are usually prepared, and everybody's prepared, and it's good thing to be prepared when you come. So it shows your seriousness towards this, towards the admission process that you are participating in. But what excites us is that the student shows curiosity to learn. And you can't describe it in words saying, I am a good learner. Saying that is okay, but is not sufficient, right? When we ask questions and we see that it's palpable, that there is a curiosity to learn, there is excitement, right? While everybody wants a job, no, there is no denying the fact it's a professional course and that's how it's meant to be. But it should not be that there is no curiosity to learn, because it's primarily whenever anybody joins in B school, it's ultimately an education institute,
Correct.
right? And this is not just for the admission. This, I think, is the mantra for life, right? If there is a curiosity to learn, then everything else becomes secondary and just follows and doesn't matter. And if you are learning it, if you are doing it, right, then you will succeed, because you will do better than average, because many people may not be as curious to try and learn new things and be ahead of time. So one
Correct.
doesn't need to put in any extra effort to succeed, because the way of life is to succeed without even realizing it, right? So one is that, and two, especially when one takes up a job, then I think one of the important aspects is to do much more than, not much more, but more than what is asked for. So I've been teaching for 15 years, working for almost 18 plus years now. I have seen you see people around who would just do their job, what is asked of them, because people do a job.
Correct.
But if you want to enjoy the work, then you just don't do a job. Then you enjoy the work. And then it doesn't get limited by what the organization is asking you to do, right? You must do as much, but you must also do more. What is of interest to you, not because somebody says that one has to work for like 70 hours a week. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying if one does enjoy the work that one does and does much more than what one is asked for, because you like learning, right? And because it'll take you more time to do that. So then I think one would continue succeeding and be happy in life in whatever work they're doing. So I think that's how one should look at a job. That's how one should look at careers and just enjoy the process.
This answer will make a huge impact on our viewers, sir. And any suggestion for our viewers? That was the suggestion.
Your viewers, yeah. So that is for the viewers. All the suggestions are for the viewers that that you take the right decisions, which help you develop as a person, and both materially, spiritually, and also socially, right? In all possible ways, and good luck to all of you. I wish you all great careers ahead.
Thank you for taking out the time and joining us, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.